Hello and welcome everyone. Now, today I want to try something new again, and I know it's been a long time since I've uploaded, but this is another tutorial. Last time I did a tutorial on how to use GS6 Pro with PMDG's 777-300ER. Today I'll be doing a tutorial on how to use GS6 Pro with the IniBuilds A350. Now, in front of me, I do have the A350-1000. However, the tutorial essentially applies to both 900 and 900 ER. There isn't any big difference between them. The component is essentially the same, and GS6 Pro uh, working bit is essentially the same as well. Now, for this, I do have a GS6 Pro profile loaded in for the IniBuilds A350. Now, it's very easy. You can go to Google, you can just search IniBuilds A350 GS6 Pro profile, and it will take you to a flightsim.to link, and you can get the profile there. I'll link it in the description. You download it and you just follow instructions. And that just helps GS6 Pro identify where the doors are better positioned in the vehicle so they aren't on the engines or the clip of the vehicle. Now, in this case, I am in Doha Hamad International Airport.
Nice landing. I'm
Um,
impressed.
Please ignore that. Now, the first thing you'll see is all the screens are dark. You just want to go up here and click external power on both. Then we want to get all four batteries on. No idea where that's happening. We want boost supply on. Wait for all the faults to go away. Once all the faults here have gone away in the batteries, I'm going to go up to the ADRs and make them all on nav. Next, we want to arm the emergency exit lights. Want to make no mode all in auto, same with no smoking. These buttons we want to keep off for now. Of course, if you're going for realism, doing fueling, which we haven't even done, we would keep seat belts off in case of an emergency. Now we want to come down to our EFB. Now EFB is kind of integrated with the other screen we have here. So first thing you want to do is go to options. Here you can set your default panel state. Now auto is usually cold and dark. Of course you can change it how you want. We have aircraft weathering. So we have a look at our camera. This is no weathering, for example. But if we now go, now we set our weathering to here. I do believe you need a specific livery, since this should have been weathered, I guess not. So you can set that as much as you want. Then you have other things, for example, in instruments, I usually keep this none, since I sometimes fly with other people. I also like to keep grill. And then also rudder control tiller, I have yes, because I don't have rudder pedals, so when I use rudder, see I have like this. Also excuse any about steering, I'm using keyboard for this because I don't have my control, but you can see how it's synced up. We have auto tiller disconnect, auto remove covers, display type, so this is all personal options. We have auto repeat brightness, auto day and night charts. It's just what you want. Now, usually this is my settings. I also like to keep the cut on. Oh, it's typically off. Just click here, click that. A lot of people ask why can I not see the HUD? It's because you have to increase the brightness. Now I typically just increase it to all the way. And here we go. We have the HUD. It is a little misaligned with edgewise can be a little difficult. So printer, external. This is all mostly just you need to do the front calibration. This greatly helps. Oh, it really helps. For this, now if you want to hear the engine starting up and whatnot, keep this on off, or else you will not hear anything. This is how it starts with it on, sounds with it on, so you can't hear anything. So let's go callouts. This is what callouts you want. I have personally on. We then also have our third party. This is just where you enter your own things. So when you enter your Navigraph here, you want to make sure you update your Navigraph, or if you have it via your sim, update it via your sim, and also upgrade your terrain data. With the terrain data, it will take some time, and you will have to restart the flight from the main menu. So you'll have to click escape and main menu, restart the flight. With nav data, just click update nav data. Check running out the current nav data. Now I do believe it's still cycle 2608. Um, yeah, so let's see. And then we also have some other simulations. Now, it's very important that for G6 Pro, you have auto GPU disconnected on no. If you do not have that off, there will be issues with shocks, which I will explain later on. Now that we have everything set, some brief ID, most importantly, and possibly your Navigraph, you then want to go to Flight Ops STS. Click on there, and let's click on some brief import. It's that easy. Now, go to ground, and you click Enable G6 Pro. By default, it's off. Go Enable G6 Pro, and if needed, you also toggle engine covers if they're on. Uh, at the moment, they are off, as you can see, so don't worry. Now, when you have G6 Pro control enabled, uh, we then want to come down to our computer. I'm going to click on Init, click on Company Flight Plan Request. Wait a little bit, doesn't usually take that long. Click Enter. If you have the printer enabled, sorry, you will get a little paper like this. It's very helpful. You can easily see your departure runway and your departure preset. Same with your arrival set and arrival runway. It makes it much more easier than opening SimBrief and waiting for 10 years. Now, we can ignore IRS. We don't need that anymore that I rotated. We first want to go to departure, so we can have a look. Our runway is 34 right. With a set I'll see if we go. Insert. Then we can also make our arrival. Our runway is 30 left. And instead of, sorry, first is going to be, of course, ILS. Going to be routed for Charlie, routed for Delta. And now we insert. Then we now need to clear all the discontinuities if they exist. I'm going to go down. Now look if you see something called discontinuity. If you see a discontinuity, click on it, click delete. Now sometimes you'll have discontinuity, but when you click on it, the delete option will be grayed out. Now a lot of people sometimes get confused, but what that is essentially before discontinuity, so above the discontinuity, you'll see manual. See a waypoint called manual. You first have to then delete that waypoint, and then only then can you actually go over and delete the discontinuity. And then you always click insert. And boom. You have anything in blue, you don't have to worry about discontinuities, anything like that. This is only if for in case you do a go around. Of course, I do advise you do change it, but this is also just I believe the alternate flight plan. And we want to go to sorry, we want to go to it now. In order to save time, we'll go load seats, SimBrief import, reload SimBrief, and load GSX. Now just give a second after clicking, take some time. See refueling requested. Then we want to go to ground, select our provider, want to request for catering, and we want to do request boarding. Now, everything else you can do through this GSX menu, but for fuel, you have to click here, go to GSX, so remember, first you just SimBrief import, then you do reload SimBrief, click load to GSX to the automatic. Of course, if you want to save time, you can like set fuel weight and set fuel and click instant. And sometimes here I'm very light. It's a very short flight from here from Doha to Dubai. But of course, sometimes we do, for example, Doha to Sydney. You can imagine I might have basically full tanks, and that can take almost half an hour to an hour to refuel. Uh, you can see that actually once the fuel truck does arrive, you'll see here an estimated time until it's done. Now, what we can do, we can go to the camera, channel. You can see how very conveniently, typically the JetBridge would connect over to this door, but since I have the G6 Pro profile, connecting to the right place. Since this would be business first class, this would be economy. It makes sense that people would here. Business would first class would turn to the left, and then economy would turn to the right. Also see the back stairs, and also see cargo is now coming up. Catering as well, all the vehicles coming up. Here we can see some of them with actual cargo. Next thing we do is our nav aids. This is very easy. This is more just confirming you have the right frequency. We can click on the SimBrief or Navigraph if you want. I do have Navigraph, but SimBrief doesn't it's not my computer. We'll go over to the flight plan. So now we'll go to our briefing view. Now, actually, you can do this through here. Click on OFP, and then you want to click on ATC flight plan. Scroll down a little bit, and you'll see runway analysis. Now, takeoff data. This is very useful because we can also get our Q&As, but we of course won't be getting it from here because it's probably not updated. Do not trust the V1, we rotating V2 on here. So we know that we will do flex sometime 71. That's one remark. We're not going to do toga. So we want to scroll down and see landing data. And if 30 scroll down, it's going to be ILS 111.30. Here we do not have 111.30. What do we have? We have runway 12 left. So usually the IniBuilds a350 is not wrong when getting the frequency for a runway. So all I'm going to do is just check on here. You can see the passengers are not boarding in the background. Okay. And increase your left. Coach is of course going to be ILS. Hello. Okay. Then we just want to click on charts. You can also do it through here. You can click on terminal charts, I believe. And you can click on screen visual left. Don't believe. Yeah. So due to this, I'm just gonna check my flight plan. Make sure I do have visual left. That's why it's important to always check, even though it does automatically get it. So we're looking at 111.3. Click on here. Now there's two ways here. You can enter the frequency, or you can also just get this code IFPW. Click on here. Enter IFPW. Enter. Nav 8 not in database. Okay. Now might have been why you don't have it, but that's fine. We'll just get the frequency in at least. 1.3 and get the reason 299. Oh, this not 299. Turn. Perfect. Go back to the init page and click fuel and load. Now I have my computer, a second computer open with my assembly, and I'll help you guys by putting up my solution. You can see where I get this data from. Now in my case, I have everything in kg. It's really easy to turn it into tons. So we can have our estimated zero fuel weight. Now you just want to divide by 1,000. So in tons, it would be 182.6 tons. Click on zero fuel weight. 186. It's 182. 182.6. Enter. Our real testing program. Log fuel. You can see we're loading passengers slowly. Our block fuel is, of course, 12.6. So click on block to 12.6. Boom. And our zero fuel CG, we can just find over here. 28.95. So 28.95. Enter. Passenger number over here, 266 total. Enter. And that's all for our weight. We want to click on return. Take off perf. Select second cruise altitude. It's definitely not going to be flight level 210. This is your optimal flight route, flight level for cruising. So it's just looking at based off your weight at the moment, and your capabilities will be the optimal. And because it's such a short flight, only about 50 minutes of airtime, probably not gonna, we are probably not gonna go so high. Actually, click edit. Finish altitude is 210. We can increase it. We do believe we can go higher. For the moment, we'll keep it at 210. Of course, if you're along the flight, it'll be like 380, and it'll probably be too heavy. So you just want to wait, and then that optimal flight will keep going up as you burn more fuel from lighter. So we know we're gonna definitely be flex. Okay, I'm gonna go to takeoff. We can also just check on. So we've done refueling is done, carrying is done, and we have fully boarded. And also check here that does not say anything about boarding or refueling. It'll tell you refueling progress. I'm going to show all text, and then APU put seatbelts to auto, and APU please. So let's come back here. The fact that everything is loaded is expert. Sync FMS and sync. We know it's going to be flux. Reader is very light. We know also our QNH is 999. We'll put that in. In order to not get a master caution, just make sure both the first officer and captains are the same. And we just want to click compute. Either you can manually enter these numbers, or you can just do send up the mess and confirm speeds, and then you can grab this new paper. It has all the information. So flaps 2, thrust, axe to be on, and tires off, flex assembly 2, here. Return. And that's kind of it actually for now. We do have to wait for our APU to be available. Now it is. So what we are going to do now is do our final preparations. We'll do initial flight level of 4,000. We'll turn, not yet actually. Make sure our beacon is on. So if it's an auto, we'll go to auto. These are off for now. All we want to do is we want to go to ground, TSX, and prepare for pushback and departure. We don't want to start flaps just yet, we need to wait a little bit. Now here's what's very important. Make sure to disconnect trucks now with parking brake on. You do not disconnect the trucks before the tug connects. Your plane will start wearily moving forwards. Tug will connect you, push you back. When you disconnect, your plane will just move forwards uncontrollably. It is very unlucky, very annoying as well. But what can we do? Then we just want to click, we want to also disconnect GPU. We want to click quick edit on map. Now we can actually zoom out on this map now. Come on. This is my runway. So we want to be facing, let's see, south. That. Save route. Now G6 will automatically tell you the things you need to do. Go to our camera. See how everything is now disconnected from us. Baggage has been loaded in. So once it drops simply, and the tug is actually already connected. Both cargo loaders and one has disconnected. You see how it's like barely clipping into the plane? Typically it will clip fully into the plane. About that far. Yeah, but this is our beautiful aircraft, fully loaded and ready to go. Go back to the cockpit and follow our pushback instructions. So, first thing I want to do is set this to start. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they're asking for me to disconnect the parking brake. Yep. Then we'll start the second engine. Now, if you want traffic, say on BatSim, you want to click on serve. Now, I typically do this on the second computer screen because it just doesn't interrupt the menu. And click WXR on auto, and then do mode auto, and you're done. Yeah, RN, ABSD traffic, ADS-P traffic off. Because we'll inject ADS-P traffic, which is very bad, of course, if you're flying about somewhere you don't want it. So we wait until our right engine here says available. See available. So we now go down and start engine 1 up. Destination EFOB, I wonder what it's complaining about. It's probably going to be her descent or approach. You do want to make sure you fill this out, or else it will just show the whole time. Destination EFOB. Of course, this tutorial only goes to the extent of showing how to take off and so essentially set the plane to climb cruise level. But I typically would do this whilst already cruising, not right now, since the winds tend to change a lot, same with OT and QNH. So I do this usually just before descent to make it easier on myself. I like to stay in the perfect page now. So we wait for both engines to start. Engine started. We set the, parking brakes. We also set flaps too. You go to ground, confirm good engine start. We then turn off master switch for the APU and the APU bleed. Now we're generating from both engines. Set taxi, our light to taxi. These two remain off for now. Everything appears to be on auto and arm. You can set your air conditioning as you want. Now this is going to be very hot, so we can just click on here and go to conditioning. See, it's 19 actually, so we can just make it hotter. Ignore the fact that says ADS test speed traffic on. So you can see the tug is just disconnected. Now what I do, if you go to zoom, will actually give you a taxi chart of the airport. Now you do have to wait a little while, it does take, it's probably been a long time to look. I'm not entirely sure if you can view this even without Navigator subscription, but all I know is I'm able to view it. And what I'll usually have is I'll have that alongside Navigraph open on a separate device. So yeah, now we can just zoom in. So we have a taxi chart of the airport. See all the taxiways, this is very useful. You can see our pin is now disconnected, so our gear is unlocked. I would do a flight controls check. Fortunately, I don't need keyboard mouse today. Test that. Okay. So what now do you want to do? You want to set your engines back to norm. Also make sure your door is locked. It's locked. You want to just get your parking brake and just start taxiing. Now I'm quite light today, so even with zero, we're somehow making propulsion. Of course, the engines are never totally idle and not producing thrust, as you might know. Now, you want to keep it relatively in the center between this and this, to be honest about. You can also use HUD and just align yourself like that. So now you can see if we go to our external camera, we're almost directly on the center line. Now I'm on the A350 1000. Now I found the A350 1000 to have a much higher turn rate and much better, so here it's very easy to turn, unlike the A350 900 and 900 kilo. Surprisingly, it's very hard to turn. I'm just gonna put some more throttle. Now I like to have audible detents on. That means, for example, now if I set this idle, it'll make that sound. Typically it doesn't. You have that option on, makes that sound very convenient. Especially if you have a throttle set that does not have a reverse axis, like a visible detent or physical detent. You can just drag it down, and when you hear that, you know you're on idle, and not to move it anymore back, so you don't hit your reversers. So just keeping it centered between these. This fix your flight directors on now. This will all be on nav, but you can also have an arm. I typically like to have a nav on this page. Yeah, it's a lot more convenient. If you want to get out of this page, you simply just zoom out all the way. And now that you already have loaded it in, it actually instantly loads the taxi flight plan. So taxi starts up. We're gonna go to the end of the runway. We'll do our takeoff checklist on the runway, lined up early. Typically people will do it though later when holding short of the runway, because we do not have any see. It will be with that. It will be on the runway, just for convenience. Also, we'll have constraints on. This will just help me see what altitude I must be on above by before reaching a certain waypoint. Um, and also alter on terrain now with no one around. At home risk anyone getting cancer from the radar. Of course, the terrain won't be available once on this page. And then your doors should be armed, meaning they're blue. In case of emergency, when someone opens the door, this out of the floor. Use the brakes a little bit to turn better. Go over to this now. And up. And you need brakes. Okay. Now it's time for to set up our. We don't need our anymore. To mount, I typically like to keep on 10 for takeoff. Takeoff lights. Now, since today there's no need for landing lights, it's only mostly optional in case it's when it's night. Wing light is definitely on though. Ground spoilers armed. Make sure we have two clusters of flaps. Cabin, check if it's ready. Just click on all. Hear that sound. You click auto brake here. Wait for the cabin to be ready. Ready? Then we want to click over here. Take off convict. Hold it for 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can see now it's normal. And that's it. We're ready to fly. So, let's disengage our brakes. And just pull up. Make sure we have good spoolers. Yep. So now let's set it to flex. So we're not flying toga. But if you're not flying toga and you're flying flex, which typically it is, set this to that B10 to flex. You see command, flex, and your shell time. So we're
V1.
V1, we rotate. Close our climb landing, you're coming up. And now since I don't have controller, I will engage all flying down. And when you want to change altitude, you just pull out like that. The knob. You'll see up, climb. Start climbing. This blue arrow shows you approximately what position you'll reach the desired altitude. You can see now once you set that the lever to climb. So we'll just bring it to that defense. Go. Throttle, climb. Throttle the D10, climb. You want to turn off our takeoff and wing lights. Get over hood. Of course, you can keep it if you want. And then also this is funny. You can see with the constraints on now, able to see we need to be at least 230 knots here, and at least 2,500 feet above. Take off all flaps now, and unarm the speed brake. Auto brake gets automatically unarmed, and that's kind of essentially it. And now, if you want to change your altitude, you should just change this knob and always pull up. Later, pull for standard using this. Of course, it's too early now for that. In terms of brightness, you can change the screen brightness using this. I'm not sure what this is, but I do believe this is contrast. This applies for every screen. Now, you might have automatic brightness enabled. but sometimes it's secretly a little bit too bright. And yeah, every single screen has this. You can also turn it off if you want. There's no reason to. See, autophone gets automatically on. So we reached our initial altitude, and let's just climb to our cruising altitude. You can see it'll maintain our 4,000 since it's on Alt with the white square around it. If it's Alt with a star, and it's not, and then finally, see Alt, it's maintaining. There, we're in altitude, and we'll just click boom. See Alt gets this indeed. See up line, and also that it recognizes we're going to a cruise level. Yeah, it's essentially that easy. If you want to get comfortable in here, just bring out the shades, bring out the other if you want, just bring out this. Yeah, that's it. In terms of J6 Pro, this plane is very well synced with J6 Pro. I haven't seen another aircraft where it's just this easy and you can just click load C and load with J6. It's easy issues with fuel. You have to load it in, it tells you not to load it in, but then there's no way to load it in. The only other aircraft I've seen it do a very similar good job is the Phoenix. Of course, that's an air body. For example, PMDG's 777. In terms of J6 Pro, there isn't that well of syncage between the plane and J6 Pro. It still does work, but IniBuilds so far, the a350 is so far my favorite in terms of using it with G6 Pro. I am also using this with Active Sky and Eclipse Realistic and Rex Atmos. This give me better visuals, better clouds, and also make the pilot cough, sneeze, also gives vibrations, makes turbulence actually feel realistic. But anyways, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it was also helpful. Also incredibly helpful in terms of Logistics Pro. I do have another tutorial on the 777-300ER. I did make a lot of mistakes on that video, and I am going to be recording a new one sooner or later in terms of to redeem my mistakes. So you guys don't develop the wrong habits and make the same mistakes I did. But yeah, that's all for today. Thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in, and happy flying.